Well, good evening, everybody. We're going to start this panel today. Thanks for being here. It's been, I suppose, a long day, as all days in COP, but we thank you're being here. So today, the World Bioenergy Association is hosting our event, Bioenergy's Role in the Global Energy Transformation. Um, of course, as you know, modern bioenergy plays a key role in the global energy transition. It can provide renewable heat, power, transfer fuels, clean cooking solutions, offering a reliable and flexible renewable energy solution. And countries are making a lot of efforts to move forward net zero targets. Bioenergy role in the energy transformation would have a more impactful role to play in the next future. So here today, we have global representatives working in very different fields of bioenergy. All of us are members of the World Bioenergy, are board members of the World Bioenergy Association. And first, we wanted to introduce the panel by showing you a video. The World Bioenergy Association with BlackRock Media developed a documentary series that you can check out in the World Bioenergy website. It's a full documentary series on different use cases around the world where the modern use of bioenergy is having a very successful impact, and very different examples of developmental technologies that are leading the way in the very different countries around the globe. So we're going to show just a trailer right now, but we would invite you to watch for the series for the whole series. I'm gonna ask them to move into the center, but once we show the video, so everybody can see. Yeah, I'm gonna invite them to the center, but once we show the video. Okay, thank you. We rewind it. Yeah, well, sorry for that. There's a little technical difficulty here, but if you can read the subtitles, no, and then watch it at home with a comfortable home and good sound. Well, so that's a documentary series, and well, without much further ado, I would like the panelists today to present themselves, their work, their organizations, and then we're going to discuss some questions regarding the role, the impact, and the possibilities of modern bioenergy. Thank you very much to our panelists. So please, Lausha.
Well, thank you very much. I am Glaucia Souza. I am a professor at the University of São Paulo. I am also the IEA Bioenergy Task 39 leader. IEA Bioenergy works on decarbonization of transportation using biofuels. It's composed of 18 countries plus EC, and I am a member of the board of WBA, so I'm happy to be wearing the WBA hat today.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Taka Aikawa. I'm a senior manager of PwC Japan Group. And currently, I'm working for PwC Intelligence, which is an in-house think tank research division of PwC Japan Group, and focusing on climate change issues in general. But I have a long-term experiences in bioenergy development projects. And I have been working with Japanese government to develop sustainability criteria, especially for solid biofuels, because in Japan, yeah, I will touch upon later, but Japan has been using and importing a lot of biomass fuels from other countries. So that's why we developed the bioenergy sustainability criteria. So I'm happy to be here today to discuss a wide range of topics of bioenergy development. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hope everyone can hear me loud and clear. I get a bit of echoes from next door. My name is Gabriel, representing obviously World Bioenergy Association as board member. I'm also we're the head of the CSO of Asia South Association, ASAFA. We're really a new young organization with now 31 members and partners across the whole ecosystem, and we really look at sustainable aviation fuel. Our members include like Korean Air, Airbus, Boeing, we really have names that you probably know as well, technology licenses like Honeywell UOP, Access. We really wanted to get a whole ecosystem across globally and in Asia to drive the SAF adoption rate. I think right now we're putting in some targets, like we think by 2030 we should reach 5% of SAF blending. It's a really stretched target because right now in our latest survey report we'll be releasing this week as well, we've seen that the industry, policymakers and stakeholders alike, they feel like we'll probably be there 2 to 5%, but 5% and above the minority, right? So I think we're here today really to discuss several pain points because SAF is like a lightning rod. It kind of strengthens the whole biofuels and sustainable fuels ecosystem, but yet there's also so many challenges and maybe opportunities that we would really like to explore here. So really, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So, across the world, as you can see, very different countries represented, both in the documentary, and by our panelists here. And bioenergy takes many forms based on the availability and accessibility of feedstocks, the different technologies that it applies, the whole supply chain on it which it builds. So sharing experiences is really an essential part to scaling bioenergy to the role it has to play in the future. So what we're going to do right now is, if I will ask you to respond to the different questions from your different perspectives. The first one being, how can modern bioenergy technologies support a just transition, from and the local economic development that these transitions need? So we start by Gabriel right now.
The question is about technologies, right?
Yeah, so the modern bioenergy technologies, how they can foment like just transitioning and local development.
So this is a bit interesting topic. We're in Brazil, right? And we hear a lot about ethanol. I think a lot of people don't even understand how it's made, right? It's probably they think it's coming from sugarcane, but right now Brazil is making a lot of ethanol coming from corn, and the corn is actually the second crop, right? Where it's really using existing land without increasing land use or incurring land use change, really. And this so-called LCA analysis has shown that the ethanol out of Brazil is a very low CI score. It's very sustainable, and it's scaling up so quickly, right? I think it's 20-30% or more of the supply is coming from corn, and it's amazing, right? Over in Asia, I think we would like to see similar stories. I think we've gone on with Thailand, for example. Thailand makes a lot of ethanol. It's coming from molasses, from sugarcane, from cassava. But they are also looking to kind of learn from Brazil, right? What the technologies in terms of seed farming, agricultural technology, use at the plants to really, squeeze the very last drop to make more ethanol and really bring down CI scores. And I think in Thailand, they've also done their own LCA work. I think they'll publish it very soon that they really want to be competitive. But Brazil's like the lowest, right? We really kind of want to be there one day in Asia. I could talk about India as well. They've kind of engaged the whole ecosystem to build a new ethanol supply because they're putting land transport E20. So I think there's 6 million tons of ethanol being produced right now. But they too also, try to utilize all waste feedstocks, broken rice, heavy molasses to really activate the whole ecosystem. I could go on and on, but again, this is just the fundamentals, and we need to get the fundamentals right before we can move to advanced biofuels like SAF, HVO, and all that. It's okay. It's falling on my side. It's okay. And the state of the art of the technology, because we have a lot of technology licenses in our makes. I think they are looking again at the concept of an integrated biorefinery. And what exactly is an oil refinery? I think everybody understands. What is a petrochemical complex? Everybody understands that. Integrated together, we all understand that. But what is a biorefinery, and how big is it? Right? Is it going to make just some diesel molecules? Is it some jet fuel molecules? Is it going to make biochemicals? Is it going to have a CCUS? Is it going to have like hydrogen? Right? So this most exciting domain of, I think, for the next 10, 20 years to come, chemical engineering will be just focused on that, right? And fortunately or unfortunately, SAF will be leading the way in this whole domain. I think we're still quite optimistic that countries then have to really unlock different technologies at different scales, because some may have more biomass, some may have more green electrons. They have to figure out their way, right? And yeah, really, it's very fascinating, yeah, to hear. But over to you.
Yeah, so yeah, considering the Japanese situation, I'm not sure how many people are familiar with the Japanese situation, but actually roughly 70% of our land is covered by forest. But due to the steep topographic condition, the operation of harvesting of trees is not so economical. So that's why we import a lot of food materials from other countries, including Brazil. But at the same time, of course, the domestic forest industry has been improving their economic performance. And in this context, utilizing residues is very important to make additional revenues from the forest industry. So that's why I would say the Japanese domestic forest industry is not so strong compared to other countries like Brazil or US, Canada. Yeah, but they do, some of them do very well. And the local, especially local municipalities, local villages, and the local towns are very keen to utilize their local resources. And I think it's very important to have so support from the general public, including the policymakers, to see or to understand the bioenergy can contribute to local development. So, and I think it's a very important lesson for other countries to deploy the biomass utilization policy. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Thanks, Saka. Wonderful. Lausha?
Yes, so we have recently been looking at beyond reduction, beyond reducing emissions, because I think carbon intensity is one indicator that is important, and I think that's why we are all here. But among the renewable energy options, Irina had shown that bioenergy is the one that has most impacts on sustainable development goals. And I've just seen recently a very interesting article where the authors looked with AI over 11,000 scientific papers and classified what they described using a number of statistical tools into the SDGs. And I was amazed to see how many SDGs and why they were being impacted. It goes all the way down to hunger, to zero hunger, you know, and this is one aspect that originally we went through this narrative of food versus fuel for such a long time, and it actually is, it appears that for the emerging economies and for the global south, bioenergy contributes to food security, not to food insecurity. These numbers are repeatedly coming up now because we have more articles. We have like over 10 years of research on this topic. I saw an article that did a meta-analysis on the food versus fuel issue, looking at the impact of feedstock being edible or non-edible on food insecurity. And uh, first, there is no correlation of feedstock being edible or non-edible on food insecurity, zero. When there is a negative impact, this is happening in countries with a high development index. When you look at the global south and countries with a low social development index, the effect is positive. And when you look at the countries that have shown a negative effect, usually the articles are using modeling. They are not using real world data. And then you look at the real world data for those situations, the negative effects decrease. So I think it's a great opportunity for social development that bioenergy can contribute to food security. This is first point. The other point is that food insecurity is most likely associated to poverty, okay? Not lack of food, but purchasing power. And when you have a meal, when you associate energy production together with agriculture, you increase purchasing power, you increase the GDP of municipalities, you improve education, you improve the outcome of the sons and daughters of the workers of a mill. You increase for 10 years, not just the first years. This keeps going. And you improve quality of work, you improve wages in respect to other agricultural systems. This happens to sugarcane, this happens to soybeans as well. And I think with adequate legislation, you can reward carbon capture, you can reward climate change mitigation efforts with biofuels, and send the funds back to the producers. And this is what Brazil is doing with its legislation. We are rewarding producers that are able to show they are decreasing emissions. And finally, we did an analysis for the emerging economies of potential to produce biofuels. You saw the Belém Pledge to quadruple sustainable fuels until 2035. Biofuels are included there. We have other options. We have hydrogen, we have e-fuels, we have intermediates, but biofuels are in this equation. And if you look at the global south, we evaluated, this was under IEA Bioenergy Task 39, we evaluated countries that are emerging economies with growing populations, with decreasing energy needs, how much they could contribute. And we look at Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Guatemala, South Africa, Ethiopia, China, India, Malaysia, Indonesia, and I think that was it. 11. No, not Korea. Yeah, 11 countries. We chose them for a number of reasons, but together, less than a dozen countries can contribute with 100 billion liters of biofuels, conventional biofuels. I'm not talking emerging economies, talking now, conventional biofuels with blending mandates, just mixing ethanol or biodiesel into gasoline and diesel. So these are all published, but I think I already talked too much, but I think there is great opportunity with biofuels now to develop our economies and decreasing a lot of the societal problems that we have, not only climate change, but all the others that we have to fix as well.
And I think that goes very well into the next question. So everybody, once you enter into the world of bioenergy and you see its opportunities and its scope of growth and its possibilities, everybody's asking, well, why aren't we there yet? No, or why aren't we even scaling a lot of the solutions that are available? So, my next question from very different perspectives would be, what are the challenges that facing bioenergy in the future? And if we can start with you, Karan.
Thank you. Challenge. Yeah. I think, yeah, of course, there are so many things, yes. But basically, those challenges can be managed, or all challenges can be solved with our efforts. So that's why the most important thing, I believe, that the leadership. And thanks to the Brazil, yes, as Russia mentioned before, that we have now a new bridge to quadruple the biofuel production and consumption by 2035. It's a very important step for all bioenergy sector, including Japan. And so with that leadership, of course, we can name a few risks that we need to do that. And of course, I have been working on the sustainability issues, and there are so many items that we need to consider or work on. But I would say those can be yes, managed, and we can find a solution with their scientific, for example, research, or the dialogue with stakeholders. But now we have a very good leadership led by the Brazil, and with 23 countries. Yeah, 26 countries now agreed to increase to 23. Sorry, yes. But anyway, it's a very amazing to see so many countries are now agreed to increase the biofuel production. So yes, I will say there are so many challenges, but we can we can solve those challenges with our leadership. And so this is the starting point. Yes.
I'll give it a shot, right? It's evening time, right? The okay. I think the potential of biofuels is enormous, right? And we've still really only scratched the surface, the tip of the iceberg for biofuels. And I think those in the industry longer than I have know this. We used to want to do biofuels because we want to defossilize. It was a very simplistic argument. We think crude oil, $100 a barrel, too expensive. We start making biofuels, right? Policymakers, put in policies to kind of make supply happen, but I don't think they actually fully follow through with R&D, technology, bringing the whole ecosystem, exploring waste streams, and kind of died off a bit. Oil prices came down, oil prices go back, so it's a bit cycle. I think what's really more optimistic now that we're here talking about biofuels, and this is the fourth panel or fifth panel already. I think there's growing recognition that we've just really starting to understand the full potential of biofuels, whether it's land transport, aviation, or maritime, biogas for power, etc., etc. And I think the technology is kind of converging. We kind of do like the basic conventional biofuels really, really well now. Advanced biofuels are also now, let's say, achievable at scale. There's also recognition of policymakers, and I think the simplistic food versus fuel arguments hopefully can go away a little bit because it's actually food, fuel, even let's say feed for animals, waste. It's carbon, right? You're moving carbon from one chain to the other chain, and some goes to humans, some go to vehicles, transport, etc., etc. So I think we're getting there with carbon markets as well. And I think biofuels, like it or not, will be part of the whole conversation, hopefully, not just in Belém, but at least where we come from, Asia and Japan, is all the same. We want to kind of make sure the choices that we make are long term. I think some people argue that biofuels will be transitional. I, I personally think it will be longer than that, not like 10, 20 years. I think it will be here to stay as a viable part of the energy mix. And the technologies will keep improving. We get to know the carbon systems better. We're able to monetize it better. That should be the future, right? And I think this, I don't know what you call it biofuels anymore by then, alternative fuels, synthetic fuels, but that could really replace so-called conventional fuels once and for all. Because oil and gas will run out, right? We conveniently forgot actually. Oil and gas will run out one day, maybe not in our generation, but maybe in the next 100 years, yeah. But over back to you.
Glausha, please.
Yeah, so after the Belém Pledge, we immediately started to think what's the next step? What we need to do? And as a cooperative climate initiative, TAS 39 has been participating in elaborating these plans to accelerate solutions. So the climate champions had under the climate action agenda a request to produce this plan to accelerate solutions. One of them was for aviation, and I also participated in the one to accelerate sustainable fuels. And this is under the objective of a just, orderly, equitable energy transition. And the word, as we discussed and discussed after the Leaders Summit last Saturday, we met with the Clean Energy Ministerial. What I hear is create demand. That's the first step. Create demand. Once we have that in place, other things will follow. We have policies, we have financing, there's a lot of things that will fall into place if you have a clear signal creating demand. So I think this is what we have to work with our governments to create the demand. Each country that is subscribing to this pledge might be thinking, how do I do this now? Create a demand, a signal to the industry. This is what needs to be done, in my opinion. I think people are thinking in this direction more and more.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. By now, I would like to invite the audience, if you would have some questions, comments regarding this role that bioenergy has to play in the future. Somebody from the audience has a question?
No, I really like what you're saying about demand. Can you elaborate more? Other than the government setting mandates, how else can we generate demand? Are there other alternative routes? Can we help? Anything we can do?
Yeah, so traditionally, the policy that is most useful and that has, it's not overly complicated, it's not rocket science, is increasing blending mandates. You start with that. It's a clear signal, and you don't need to change your fleet. The current cars that exist can run on 30% ethanol mixed to gasoline with no problem. Okay? If you really want to go more aggressive, you can create demand and put on the pumps 100% ethanol and signal to the automotive industry. We need flex fuel vehicles. This exists. Many countries already have flex fuel vehicles. Brazil, Paraguay, India is now doing. US has in some states flex fuel vehicles. So I'm just giving you one example of a policy that has worked. There's 57 countries that have blending mandates for ethanol and 45 for biodiesel. Okay, so that would take us going, because then you have to secure supply, then you have to secure financing, but the investor needs to know, is there a traceability on the feedstock? Is it not being planted in native vegetation areas? So you need certification schemes. And then once you create trustability, with the system, then it keeps moving. And there is ample space to increase blending mandates across the world. So this is one way.
I would like to do just a comment. I'm from Go Airlines, a line here in Brazil. And create mandates for airlines in general is very complicated. Because if you can compare ethanol, for example, biodiesel with the fuel, the fossil fuel that replace, the relationship between the price is like 30, 40%. In the case of SAF, the difference is 3, 4, 5 times. And the SAF and the jet fuel for the airlines company represent here in Brazil 40% of our costs. So imagine something that represents 40% of the cost and have to pay 3, 4 times plus. That's complicated. So that's the reason because I think just mandate is not enough for us. No, I think the government have to think what can do in order to try to mitigate this impact. If you can make the comparison with the ethanol produced in here in Brazil, the pro-alcohol that began in the 70s, in the beginning the government helped because you remember it, you know that the price was established by the government. So the government have done what was necessary at that time to improve the demand, to make it happen. But just leaving the markets with the price like 3, 4, 5 times plus, that's complicated for us. That's the point.
Yeah, I was thinking about blending mandates for vehicular transport. I know SAF is a little bit more complicated, but I saw this number. IEA, the International Energy Agency, produced a report that supports the 4X. Why 4X? And the 4X comes from looking at what is possible. And one thing they say is that for the aviation sector, the cost of an air ticket using SAF, increasing use of SAF, would increase for the customer 1%. So on the customer side, I hear that it's not such a big deal, and then for the companies, you're saying it's very tough. What do you say?
Well, that's a lot of discussion regarding it. That's economics regarding the difference between cost and price. But the fact is that it represents 40% of cost. When you begin 1%, you can say that's not such a big deal. But when you go for 10% of the mix of the blending, so that's the reason because I tell you, I think the beginning should be very important to have this balance. When you have more demand, more supply, so you have the balance of this price. That's the reason because I quote the different price between the fossil fuels and the biodiesel and the ethanol. You don't have so huge difference anymore. Maybe in the past you have, but not anymore. So that's the point. I think the government has to do something in order just to try to mitigate this impact in the beginning of the transition. After 5, 10 years, so the situation, the market can solve this problem just between themselves. But in the beginning, that's the complication of the thing. Okay.
You want to add something, Gabriel?
It is quite a tricky topic, right? I think there are different phases to look at it. Right now, at that 1%, never leave it, 1%, 2%, 3% phase, right? We do know that we need to start the industry, right? And then Singapore has obviously chosen, in a way, a very pragmatic approach. They put a levy on the passengers. It's announced in the news this week already. How much? So that, let's say, within Asia is $1 for economy class. Maybe it's up to $41 in business class for the furthest destinations. It's a bit like a mileage program, right? Zone 1, 2, 3, 4, exactly the same. So if 1% is so-called like this, up to 3%, it kind of works out because we know that at least business class, there's inelasticity because it's paid by companies, they will travel anyway. But I think the question is really longer term, what do they want to do? And I want to start back a bit already, a different angle. Size of market, jet fuel is about 300 million tons, 350 maybe. Maritime is about 300-ish million tons of fuel being consumed. Land transport is probably 2,000 million tons. I don't know the right number now. And obviously, land transport will start to electrify quite quickly, and some of these biofuel molecules will be kind of available for maritime and aviation. And I think this transition, no matter how messy it will be, the direction of travel is there. It will go to aviation and maritime and enable, I guess, the SAF we buy in 5 years, 10 years later to be a bit cheaper, even more competitive. it cannot be more expensive than today, right? I think we all have to agree. And it's really what policymakers want to do is really look at it strategically. Where can I decarbonize quickest? Is it my manufacturing? Is it my land transport? Is it then aviation? Well, that's the kind of conversations that we really want to have, right? I know it's very ambitious, but I think airlines can play a role to really help generate awareness with passengers that this is not greenwashing, this is not something magic. This is something that is based on technology, it's based on science, and safe for passengers, and you can play a role, right? I know it's a bit tough, but we're trying. We're trying.
We're talking about Brazil, no? When you see the GDP per person here, that's completely different from Singapore. Another thing, to have a country that's almost a continent. Aviation here, aviation industry in Brazil is really important. It's not like a small country in Africa, a small country in Asia, a small country in Europe. That's different, no? And you need airplanes because you don't have the railroads. One flight between São Paulo and Belém is 3 hours. Everyone that reached here probably went for São Paulo and got a plane until here for 3 hours. So you need airplanes here. You need aviation industry because you have some regions here you just go by airplane, or otherwise you have to go in a car or in a bus. You stay like 3 days, on the roads. So aviation industry is really important. It's different. In Europe you have the trains. You have another options. Here you don't have options. And you see you have 200 million people, and you have 20 million people that fly. It's 10%. Compare this number with Europe and United States. We have lots of things to develop here in order to emphasize the aviation industry here in this country. And if you increase the price of the ticket, probably will be very difficult to reach. Okay.
Let me make a short comment. Of course, we need to understand that there are so many customers who use aviation services. But in Japan, there are some fast mover coalitions from companies, especially who that want to reduce the carbon emissions from business users. So they are, of course, not happy, but they are ready to pay extra fees to use SAF. And the most important thing is the environmental value attribution. So if they pay extra money to the staff, of course they want to receive allocation of the reduction from the using staff. So that is actually the very important topic in Japan, but we are still we are going toward that direction currently. Thank you.
Well, is there another question from some of you?
Hi, this is Kie Yoshitake from working with Taka-san at PwC Japan. I'm a geopolitical expert. That's why I'm really interested in the cooperation between the biofuel produced countries. And I expect that the cooperation will be accelerated in the future and be the new wave of climate change solution. And also maybe will be a step for scaling up the market. That's why I wanted to know the trend of cooperation between countries.
How's the cooperation
Maybe the
between
Professor
countries? I think
Susano
Claudia has a lot to say about that.
Yes, so over the years we have engaged in internationally, countries have engaged in several forums to exchange information and technologies and policy experiences. So right now, I'm more active at the International Energy Agency Technology Collaboration Program. So this is a program that countries join through their governments, and there are several task forces. One of them is biofuels. But there's the Biofuture platform that is very active through the Clean Energy Ministerial, exactly to work towards the real world, solving the real problem, because sometimes we talk, but countries really need to sit down with their technical bodies once decisions are made, and then you decide, how do I do that? You know? So I cited just two. there were others, some got defunded over the years, so it's hard to get governments really, really uh, um, um, putting funds into continuing this cooperations. I think it's every day we have to work for that, right? But I am glad now that we have these 23 countries to work on. And if you look at the list of those countries, they offer very different contexts. Quadrupling will be very different when you look at each of these countries. Some of them are very high GDP countries. Some countries, they are pledging to really just get started. Perhaps they don't really have all that technology capacity or feedstock. So it's a strong group. I like to see that so many different geographies are joining, and then perhaps this is a way to move forward the international cooperation among this alliance of countries.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I think we have time for one last question. If someone, no? If that is not the case, we want to thank you for your time, for being here. And you had one question? Really?
I was just wondering, you mentioned carbon markets and yeah, carbon certificates. I was wondering what role you see those playing in the future of the biofuel industry.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Yeah, actually, in Japan, finally the Japanese government launched the GX ETS. It's a kind of emission trading schemes, which allows companies to, of course, to choose any options to reduce the emissions, and of course, the biofuels use can be the option. For example, the transporting sector like bus services and truck services, and actually in Japan, some railway companies use diesel fuels, so they want to utilize biodiesel actually, so uh, they can benefit from the carbon market to compensate the additional cost of using biofuel. That is the basic mechanism, and I believe that there are too many countries introduced such kind of mechanism, and I think that Singapore and any other.
Um, I think really carbon markets per se, we really touch a little bit, I think, about exchanging the environmental attributes of biofuels, which is really the certificates, the SAF-C. It's happening already because on a voluntary basis, even the airlines themselves can do corporate programs to cover some of the costs, SAF-C. We speak to, again, likes of Cathay Pacific, they're very, very active. They said throughout the last 2 years they gained a lot of new customers, so it's really happening. I think maritime as well is talking about book and claim systems because ultimately we don't want to produce the fuel here in Brazil, ship it all the way to, I don't know, like South Africa, then burn the fuel. It's very silly, right? Book and claim, right? I think for that to happen is really I don't know if it's carbon markets per se, right? Because carbon accounting has to be firmly in place. There needs to be like interoperable systems across national and global jurisdictions. The voluntary platforms already exist, but they don't talk to each other completely as well. We see that's to be the biggest gap. And carbon markets as a whole is so big, right? We talk about, are you talking about offsets? Are you talking about inserts? Are you talking about carbon dioxide removals? I think that's really happening at quick pace as well. Different countries have different needs and wants. Ideally, everything will be one uniform currency of whether it's a biofuel or project nature-based solution, all with one currency. I think the experts here will maybe need a bit more time to get there. But that is the plan, right? To converge everything all at once to become the carbon is the currency. We're trying to price it, but it's like different markets, like different. You have to exchange money, right, to get Brazilian dollars and US dollars. It's not quite there yet, right? So I think we're working on it, hopefully. So I think back to the panel.
Yeah, Brazil just started regulating, establishing the framework to get there, but it's for for me, I'd like to find ways that we can, from what we are already doing, also benefit from the carbon market. And I see one idea, for instance, that I like is we need to calculate this, but uh, we can have several crops in the same land. And for instance, you can have soy and corn, or you can have sugarcane and peanuts. You can have winter cereals and soy. You can have brachiaria and soy. Brachiaria is cattle grazing grasses. And we have a huge um, mission to decrease the carbon intensity of our meat. So if we start making biofuels together with cattle grazing and growing forests, and this is actually a plan, okay? Embrapa is developing these integrated systems. Perhaps we can decrease the carbon intensity of our meat because we are doing biofuel in the same land. So it is difficult to calculate. It's difficult enough already to calculate life cycle analysis of one thing, then we add another. Then we have to convince the government that's true. We can grow 2 crops in a year. So this takes a long time. But I think in the future, we have to treat carbon as a commodity. You can sell it in a market easily.
Yes, just one thing to add there. It's very interesting, know what what Lausha know and both Gabriel and Tak are saying. I would say that carbon markets, it's carbon and the market around it. It's it's a financial instrument we have found to monetize, certain ecosystemic services, certain avoidances, certain removals, or certain processes of sequestration. And all these are ingrained into a bigger context that is the bioeconomy, in which bioenergy plays a very, very important role. So, I mean, you could imagine, as Glausha was saying, that you could be developing biofuel and with the residuals from these to biochar and fertilize the soil, sequestrate carbon, and account for the impact of the circular economy versus the avoidance of the fuel with the sequestration of the biochar and the regeneration of the soil. And you get carbon for all of that point. The only thing is you have like to build the whole system around it, right? But it makes a lot of sense. And we're getting there or almost there, right? Well, again, thank you very much for your time and for being here with us. Wonderful. Yes, let's go. Can you take it to the phone? What do you take the photo and then? Thank you very much. Now, thanks to you. Thank you. This was fun. No, don't worry. Thank you very much for yeah, that's was very, very that was a little bit more interactive for being this late. Yeah, that's right. Thank you very much for hosting us, and we're very grateful.